Welcome back to the Maelstrom, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Warhammer 40k battle report for you today. We're doing 2,000 points and we're going to be playing Eternal War. We're doing the retrieval mission with hammer and anvil deployment. Black Templar versus Tyranids. The Black Templar will be on the right side of the table and the Tyranids will be on the left. We have 4 objectives, 2 in this trench system, 1 at either end. And then we also have 1 here by the supply crates and another in the center of the table on the ammunition crates. So that is the table. We will be right back with the armies.
Okay, so my Black Templar army is organized into a battalion. My warlord will be Helbrecht, and my second HQ is an Emperor's Champion. Then I have in the heavy support slots a squad of 3 Las Cannon Hurricane Bolter Devastator Centurions, a single Vindicator, and a squad of 10 Devastators with 4 missile launchers and an Armorium Cherub. Then for my fast attacks, I have a squad of 10 Assault Marines with 3 plasma pistols and a power sword, and a squad of 10 Reavers with their assault bolters. Then for my troops, I have two Crusader squads that are 10-man strong with 2 power swords and a melta-gun each, and a squad of 10 Sniper Scouts. And then rounding out the force in the elite slot, I have a single Venerable Dreadnought with a twin-link las and a Dreadnought Power Fist.
Alright, we will be right back with the Tyranids. Next up, we have the Tyranid Swarm that will be meeting the Black Templars on the battlefield. We are organized into a battalion with a bonus Outrider detachment, or Vanguard detachment attached to that, rather. In the battalion, we have 2 HQs. We have a Neurothrope and a Broodlord standing there in the back behind their Venom Thropes. In the elite slot, we have the 3 Venom Thropes and 2 4-man squads of Zoanthropes. We have 2 10-man Genestealer units, 2 20-man Hormigaunt units with adrenal glands, and across the front we have 30 Devil Gaunts with their devourers. Over in the Vanguard, and I think I may still be saying it wrong because it's the heavy support one, we have a Winged Hive Tyrant. He's the Warlord. He has 4 Death Spitters. He is joined by 2 Hive Tyrants. Carnifexes. They're being shy, hiding on the corners behind the Zoanthropes. They also have 4 Death Spitters and Spore Cysts. And then we have a Trigon Prime to be a elevator to bring the Devil Gaunts into the battlefield. So you have seen the armies and you have seen the table. We will be back as we get stuck into the Maelstrom. Alright, deployment is complete. The Black Templars finished up first, so we'll let Josh walk you down what he's got going on over here.
So we put the Reavers up on our left flank to provide some small suppressive fire on the one swarm that's actually coming down on our left. Behind them is all of my heavy support kind of deployed in depth. I've got the Dreadnought in the back, the Devastator Centurions. The Devastators took up a high ground position in the center so they can provide support to either side if necessary. Directly behind them is a counter-strike element with my 10 Assault Marines and Helbrecht. In the high tower, with the best overwatch, would be the Snipers. So that maybe we can knock down a couple of those characters before they get into lethal range. Behind that tower, hiding from any incoming fire, is the Vindicator. And then all the way out on my far right is the bulk of my main strength, both Crusade squads and the Emperor's Champion.
Alright, so over here on the Tyranid side, we have the Hive Tyrant and the Trigon Prime off the table, and the Devil Gaunts are following the Trigon Prime in. We have 20 Hormigaunts arrayed along this flank, and then the rest of the swarm went for a refused flank to one side of this massive centerpiece. We have the Venom Thropes in the back, along with 2 Carnifexes. The Zoanthropes are with them, and then stretching across before them is the Living Carpet. We've got 20 Hormigaunts and 20 Genestealers. Behind them is the Neurothrope and the Broodlord moving up that flank. So that is initial setup. The Black Templars finished first, so they're going to get +1 of their roll. We're going to go and let them dice first, see if they can continue the trend of the 6 on a +1. A 2, so the Tyranids actually have a decent shot here. Tyranids going to need a 4 to take the first turn. A 3 will result in a tie. Let's try that again. Black Templars have a 4, so Tyranid's going to need a 5 to keep it alive. And with a 6, they will take first turn away. So Tyranids are going to go first. We will be back once they have finished their initial moves. Tyranid turn 1 rolls to an end. A pretty productive one. Over on this end, everything made advance moves to try to get in position. We peeled everything from that flank because that was an absolute death field to go down against all that heavy support. Hormagaunts ran here. The other squad rolled 3 1s for their run. So they went ahead and just peeled to the side and got out of the way of the stampede. Everything else came flying up through here in the center. We did play a, I forget what it's called. We got a double move on the Venom Thropes. I'm sure I'll have an annotation in here to tell you what that's actually called. But double moved them and rolled a 6 on their advance. They flew over here real quick so that they could keep the swarm protected in the coming shooting phase. Then we also advanced the Gene Stealers and the Broodlord up here on the flank. Zoanthrope blobs stuck together as they move forward, and the 2 Carnifexes stuck with them. In the Psychic phase, we went ahead and fired 2 instances of Smite. 1 from each squad of Zoanthropes. We also cast Catalyst. The Catalyst gave the Venom Thropes Feel No Pain. We're going to see if we can have them survive 1 shooting phase for the first time. Up here, though, we cast the Horror with the Neurothrope. We put it on the Devastators, but they used their Black Templar Disgust of all things Psychic, and on a 4+ denied that on their stratagem. Then we fired the 2 Smites, and they were ridiculous. The first one killed 6 Marines from this Crusader squad. And the second one rolled in 11 and knocked 7 of the scouts down from this squad. So gruesome damage from the Psychic phase. However, no shooting in range, so that was the limitation of the damage. Black Templars have a couple of morale checks, then they'll be back. Who are we starting with? Alright, so we got a Crusader squad to start with. With a 7, they don't care. And 7 scouts down at the moment. 8, 9. I guess you're probably going to stick that one, because that's what, 1 down? Alright, so 1 scout flees. Alright, so that is it for the Tyranids. Black Templar coming up next. Alright, Templars have finished up turn 1. They swung the bulk of their force to this flank to address this Tyranid swarm that was moving down on them. They fired across the gap. Catalyst proved to be very fortuitous. The Devastators were able to kill 1 and wound 1 on the Venom Throat Brood. And then we ate 3 las cannon rounds, and somehow 1 walked out of that with 1 wound remaining. He took 4 wounds and shrugged 3 of them on Catalyst. So we were able to keep our negative buff up, and it did play a role in the ensuing shooting phase. We lost 2 Gene Stealers here to fire. The front squad of Crusaders advanced and fired here, but were only able to kill 2 Gene Stealers. The Centurions fired 1 round at this squad of Zoanthropes, 1 guy rather, so 2 rounds of las cannon, and were able to kill 1 off. The other squad took a hit from the Vindicators, but it was unable to do any damage to them. So just a handful of bugs down. We lost 2 Venom Thropes, 1 Zoanthrope, and 2 Gene Stealers, but they are whittling as we're closing here. Still haven't come into optimal range. We will be back as the Tyranids begin their assaults. Turn 2 for the Tyranids has come up to the assault phase. The shooting and Psychic were pretty crazy. The 4 Marines here were cut down by Smite. The Tyranids continued their advance into this flank. The Hive Tyrant came in down here to support them. And the Trigon Prime and his Gaunts came in here in the center. So in the Psychic phase, all of Smite down here came into these 4 Marines and was able to crush them down. And then Smite from the center of the table, along with Psychic Scream from these, was able to kill all 10 of the Devastators in the tower. Shooting phase, the Gaunts down here fired and wiped out all 10 Assault Marines, and then paid 2 points to shoot a second time and were able to kill 5.5 Reavers. Left them under strength as well. Then shooting from the 2 Carnifexes and the Hive Tyrant was able to kill 4 Marines on this flank. So that was the extent of the shooting, a ton of casualties. The Tyranids are going to launch some assaults, and we will be back following that. Tyranid assault phase rolls to an end. 2 Gene Stealers were cut down as they tried to leap the barricade and charge the Vindicator. We then put 16 Gene Stealers into this tank, paid 3 points to fight again, and still knocked 7 points out, right? So he's got 4 left. Vindicator was not playing around. Couldn't get much damage through him. What we did, he made a bunch of 6s. So Vindicator's going to fall back, I'm sure, in his turn. And they're going to introduce me to the Fury of the Emperor here with some shooting. That is the end of Tyranids turn 2. Black Templar response coming up. All right, Black Templars have come out to strike back with the Wrath of the Emperor with what's left of their forces. Down here, the Emperor's champion and the Marines bunched up to surround this group after the Vindicator fell back. Fired all of their shots into the 10-man squad and were able to bring 3 down. Getting ready to launch some charges there. Helbrecht led the Centurions up, and a flanking maneuver from the Reavers came in, fired here, and obliterated 2/3 of the squad, took 19 casualties. The las cannons, however, fell on their face, chump shot big time, fired on the Trigon Prime, 6 hits, 5 failed wounds, and I rolled a 6 on the one that wounded, so the Black Templar woe just never ends. But they are getting ready to launch some assaults. We're going to see what they can get done there, and we will be back. Alright, Black Templar have finished their assault phase. The 2 squads went in here, or well, the squad and the Emperor's Champion. Champion only managed to bring down 1 Gene Stealer, that he wounded 2 and 1 made an invul save. Over here, 2 Gene Stealers were cut down on the first go, but the Black Templars paid 3 points and went ahead and purged the xenos, slaughtered the rest of those Stealers. They consolidated up to take some of the heat off of the Champion before I swung back. 2 of them were killed as a result, and the Champion took 1 wound total from the Gene Stealers. That was the end of the close combat, and at that point the Black Templar is going to call it. Their forces are getting thin, and they're set up to take some pretty horrendous damage from psychic shenanigans. So that is going to be a Tyranid victory. We will have after action review and army list at the blog as always. Be sure to like us on Facebook. That's the best way to see our content. It's the first place we post it when it comes out. And be sure to give us a subscription on YouTube. That is the most important metric for us, and we appreciate all of you who have done that already. As always, guys, thanks for spending time with us today at the Maelstrom.